WesWes Show.
End of it. Stace, you want to pick a 4-leg multi?
4 leg. What if we pick a leg each?
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
And then, because I've got nothing at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good
probably
idea.
on the spot. Pick a leg each, and then that's us four.
Nice. Hey, Rog, we'll just go around at the end. Oh, you went quiet again, Rog.
No, I'm here.
Oh, no. I get it.
I was just whispering about
All right.
Stacey's ETR Warriors jacket.
Sick. Let's go. All right. Well, welcome into another episode of the 135 Footy Show, proudly part of the WesWes Network. You can go check out all our podcasts on the website, weswesnet.com. You'll find all our articles and all the other podcasts there and links to them from there. You find us on all your podcast platforms as well. Coming into round 21, 7 more games of the regular season. Welcome in the boys first. Stacey, how's it been, Us? Host of the Counter Ruck. How you been, man?
Yeah, cheers, boys. Thanks for having me on. It's been a while. I haven't been on the league podcast for a couple of months or month-ish. So good to be back on talking a bit of footy with the boys.
Nice, Us. Well understood, bro. You got the new commitments. Congrats on baby again, and I hope it's going well. And welcome
cheers,
in from the fence, Spence. How was it, mate?
Fantastic. It's been a great last couple of weeks building up to game 3, and here we are post that wonderful match, the great result after almost 2 decades of a drought.
That's right. Yeah. We've been off for a while. I've been sick after Origin, so we haven't recorded for a few weeks.
You were
That's
sick after
interesting.
Origin.
I've been in a lot of
Call
pain.
us out. You call out Orange for not jumping on.
You were sick
In
after
Queensland
game
win.
being
two.
hospitalized, man. It's just
You and Simon all of a sudden became sick after game 2.
Boys, let's kick into it. Before we kick off into the Origin chat, let's go straight to our awards, our Isaiah Kalava Awards. First one, our All Eyes on Me Award, your Player of the Round. We'll come to you first. Rog, Player of the Round or Origin? Who you got, man? Who stood out?
Player of Origin for me, with a torn bicep towards the end of the game, Mitch Moses. Brought in game 2 and just carried on what he did then in game 3 and scored a try to seal the highlight reel.
Nice. Stace, how about you, man? Who you got your All Eyes Award?
Yeah, first time coming on since we got these awards. I had to quickly think about it. The guy that I like, Big David Fifita.
Oh, yeah.
Played 80 minutes in a losing team, but he was awesome. 80 minutes he played. Get the most runs to his team, most run meters, most post-contact meters, most try assists, and 32 tackles. So excellent performance from the big man, David Fifita. All eyes on me
Did you
recipient.
just choose him to rub it in? Because that's so painful to hear as a Queenslander.
It's
Queenslander stats.
We're going to touch on that a bit. Yeah.
It's not enough, when he's not putting in enough, he's not seeing enough. So that's a harsh call.
Those kind of stats. Why would Billy exclude him?
Yeah.
Why would he be excluded?
Up there with
Billy
Carousel, mate.
Billy just said to him, David, Billy says later.
All right, I'm going to come in with one out of, it's actually not in the NRL or rugby league at all. We're going with All Eyes on Me, especially this week, and the announcement of Adi Savea, probably more in your boys' camp. Just such a big call for him to sign with Moana Pacifica. We probably just chatted a bit offline, just how they don't, like, rugby union doesn't really have I don't know if they don't have the people in those camps or being able to kind of sniff this out. The NRL guys, the NRL 360, all over these kind of discussions. But yeah, it really came out, probably only a handful of people really kind of knew. And as it was getting announced, probably people hinted, kind of clicked on. But yeah, only within the week kind of it has come to the surface. So probably your boys' take on that. Especially from kind of maybe taking that mantle, Tom Malolo and Fifita took for Tonga. I don't know how you guys see it. Is it that exciting from from the world of rugby or not really? Come to you first, probably, Rog.
I think for me, it's an interest because it coincided when he announced. I don't know which one was first, but it also there was an announcement of him signing with the All Blacks until 2027. So he's still eligible under the guidelines that are, from what, as far as I understood, when Moana Pacifica first came to be, that there was 20% players that will always be eligible for other international teams outside the Pacific nations of Tonga, Samoa, and Fiji. So Ari still fits in, and there's been a lot of discourse on social media around, Adi Savea not going to be eligible for the All Blacks anymore. But I think people are still, haven't really understood that that's always been the case. They're 20%, whether they were uncapped coming into Moana Pacifica or they had already played for other countries like Christian Leali Ifano and Sekope Kepu, who finished off their careers just this season after playing years for Australia. So that's where, and with those two finishing, Adi Savea takes up, part of that 20% quota.
Space.
So, and that's where I believe people are not sort of understanding where Adi fits. And again, he's not saying his allegiance has changed from New Zealand to the likes of Samoa, although there has been a lot of talk about Adi wanting to represent his parents' heritage as well. So whether that was going to be in the form of the 13-man code or the 15-man code, but he's definitely signed for the All Blacks until 2027. So that takes him through to the next World Cup. So he's still going to be eligible for the All Blacks, but just plying his trade north of the Cape Town with his brother as well.
Yeah, good signing. I quite like it as well. Like once we do the counter-rack, and one of the criticisms that we've had around Super Rugby when you compare it to NRL is that there's just a lack of competition. There's two or three awesome teams, and then there's a whole lot of average Joes in Super Rugby, where in the NRL, almost anyone can beat anyone, and trying to pick a top 8 or whatever is fraught with danger. And how do we get these bottom teams in Super Rugby to be more competitive? We can start from Moana Pacifica's perspective by getting essentially the number one player in the world, the current World Player of the Year, on your books. And hopefully that could be, like you mentioned, touched on a bit earlier, Tons, what happened with Tonga national team when Jason Tomololo and Andrew Fifita, they were the best forwards in the game at that point. They switched to Tonga, and that caused a wave of a host of other players to change their allegiance. For Samoa, was in rugby league, it was Brian To'o and Jerome Luai and Crichton. They changed, and then a whole host of other people changed their allegiance. We see the support that they get and how much better the game is because of it. So hopefully, this could be the start of something. If I saw the best player in the game on that team and I was a bit unsure where to sign, you wouldn't really consider Moana Pacifica before that. But now, maybe it's a more desirable destination, and that's better for the competition. I would love to see, as someone who's been a rugby fan first and foremost, it be competitive, Super Rugby competitive like the NRL. The only way that happens is if the bottom teams can get up a bit more, and the signing will help, in my opinion. So, yeah, good shout out there, Tons, on All Eyes on Me.
I look forward to hearing more of this discussion and counter-rack. Roger, you look like you want to debate it, but we haven't got time for that, mate. Let's move straight into our Kaya Kele Awards, the other award that we've got. So this is, your Kaya Kele for the weekend, or the Origin game for this week, of course. We'll come to you first on this one, Stace. Who you got up there, mate?
Yeah, my Kaya Kele Award. It's a tough one. I'm going to go for David Fifita. He got criticised by Billy Slater. He's not fit enough to play Origin. Your state needs you, and you're not fit enough. Sort it out. By the way, I just said he played 80 minutes, and he had the most runs, most run meters, most post-contact meters, most try assists, 32 tackles. So I don't know where that's coming from Billy Slater, but maybe he was wrong. But yeah, I'll give Dave Fifita that award this week if he's not fit enough to play Origin when the state needs him.
Sounds like you're giving that to Billy. How about you, Spence?
Directly.
You got, mate? Who's your Kaya Kele of the weekend?
I think this guy was hard done by. He had the opportunity to come back in after being 18th man for that game 2 of Origin, and there was a little pass that was given to the outside. Bradman Best down the left-hand side. and Dane Gagai had him in his sights. He came in, that was his job, to push him to the sideline. He couldn't even, grab a hold of him, and then he got left on the wayside, and we know the rest is history, what Bradman Best did, and then Ponga tried to pick up the crumbs after that too, but Dane Gagai gets it for me. Had he stopped that right then could have been it was a tight game, but Dane Gagai, he was trying to get a fistful of that jersey, but just couldn't manage. But, it comes back down to, textbook tackle around the legs. Around the legs, he went up high, and Bradman Best just showed him the big stiffer.
All right, we'll give you that one, mate. Because yes, that was very disappointing and hard to watch live. But Kaya Kele, there was a few honourable mentions that'll probably chuck in there. But I'm actually gonna go with myself for our Ice Kalava Cup. I had a good chance to start my run, and I've been savouring this time for a long time, holding on to Cleary. Finally, he gets back out there, and I have him on my bench and not even scoring for me. So, yeah, I'll give that Kaya Kele for my coaching. But there's still time to come back. And we'll talk about that as we get to it. Nice, boys. Let's go straight into Origin. I know you guys have been chomping at the bit. We missed a couple of episodes, but it's not forgotten. I don't think it'll be forgotten for a very long time. You guys are making sure of that. We'll start with you, Stace. I've heard enough from this guy on the Wednesday Night Live. So, just your probably overall and then kind of any points you want to pick out. Kick off.
Great win by the Blues. I thought was keen as to come on last week, and there was no episode. But I thought the Blues dug deep. I thought they were the better side throughout the series. So I won't get into a big rant about it. But I thought that
no, do.
I thought Madge done it. He was great. He did a great job as the coach. And you think about his history as a coach. So I think he lost when his last job. He was coach of the Kiwis. He lost against Australia in a test match. He goes away, works on what he needs to fix, makes a couple of tweaks, and then he wins 30-0 that final. And I thought that's sort of what happened in this game, in this series. So they lost that first game quite comfortably. He goes away, makes a couple of tweaks, and then they win the next two games. So I'll give Madge. He should have been my all eyes on me guy because he was outstanding as a coach. So, credit to the coach, I'll say.
Nice start. Yeah. I, that's a good point with the coaches. I don't know if you want to touch more on that, Rog, before you get into your rant. But Madge, kind of what you saw in his pick. Did you have faith the whole way, kind of with his plan and some of the droppings throughout?
Yeah, because Queensland already won their game as soon as Waliti got the first game. As soon as Waliti got red carded, it was going to be one-way street, and it was just a matter of time before the floodgates opened. They were trying to hold on, trying to use Liam Martin and Angus Crichton to square up that right-hand side. But obviously, you had the likes of Hammer, Reece Walsh not Reece Walsh, he was concussed. Hammer, take advantage of that left side, the right side for New South Wales. So, but I think it comes down to, and so that there wasn't much for him to change. But obviously, the introduction of Latrell, making amends and making some noise at club level to earn him a recall. He come in, and he did the job in game 2. Unfortunately, he was out for 3, but then you had Bradman Best hanging in the wings as well. So, I think Madge has got, for me, is the different flavour of coaches that we've had. We've had coaches like that have been players and then become coaches like Ricky Stewart, Freddie Fitler. And what Madge brings is breath of fresh air because he hasn't played for New South Wales before. So, and he brings a different style of coaching where he tries to understand his players. And so for a debut series and for him to win against a legendary player, and then, everyone thought he was the big cheese because of what he did last year with Queensland. Madge is, it's what dreams are made of for a guy like Madge, and he admits it openly, and just taking a group of players. So, and he mentioned something about the group prior to Game 3, said that this group has got a steel about them, and they know what they want to achieve. So, just things like that, the confidence that he had in his players. And again, this what he brings in. That game was so brutal, it was tough, it was physical. All the makings for a really awesome game, and one that will go down in the history books. But the defense for both teams cancelled out for a long period of time. The attack, but we still saw a lot of flair from both sides. But it was just met with amazing defense from either side. And so that's when the opportunity came, and they took advantage again. Connor Watson, passing it off to who he needed to pass it to, even though it was a really poor pass, dribbling along the ground. Luai capitalises, Nanai nowhere to be seen, skips through their gap. And again, we touched on it before.
That was a horrible miss from Langai too.
But, Nanai, and then not even, there was no urgency for him to push back, and then poor Dan Gagai, Ponga comes around too late. Momentum was on. Bradman Best, hanging lip, cut everywhere, blood gushing everywhere, and still able to go over the blood track thigh.
Just that point about Madge, though, like just bringing those teams together, like you're saying, Stace, like goes away and works on stuff, but he's a real good I think he's like those great, like Bellamy, Bennett, like a person manager, like he knows how to get the best out of those guys, and probably just a little mention of all those Toa boys as well. Even with Spencer coming off the bench, man, he's just just elevated himself too. But just that core, like having those boys, Toho, Critter, and just even with Jerome, like just having those boys building that culture, like it was so good to see like question marks around Jerome. Like it was just funny, like leading up to it, people were like wondering, like they already had their 6. Like, man, what happened to Jerome? He was like fine in Game 3 last year, yet everyone's kind of disregarding him. So it was good to see that, it was just like he was a solid, like he was just a shoe-in with that whole culture and what Madge was building there. So I think when I saw, especially with Latrell out, I was like, that's a good change, and kind of seeing this. But he looks like, he gels well with the also, so it was kind of cool just seeing that, like being able to get these guys, like, to just really buy into it. So I think that was the noticeable thing. But man, just an impressive. Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing. Like one of those New South Wales teams that's just impressive on paper, and just seeing that Game 3, how it went down to the wire, and that's probably one of those. I think that's why it was so impressive. Like it was a team that had it on paper, but it's just so hard at Suncorp, and even watching it live, you kind of expected Queensland, as it got deeper into the minutes, like, they're gonna steal it. But just like your all eyes Moses, man. I think that was a killer blow just to see him be clutch in those moments, and kind of pull that game through. I think that was a turning point just to see it break open from there.
That's all it was, Tana. Like you said, man, it was moments. It was just those moments. And we remember the moments when Queensland come back from the dead, man, and that was always going to be painful for us as New South Wales supporters to relive and watch it at the time too. And I think it's, when Mitch Moses scored, moments after the Luai try and to seal that game, it was just awesome to see. And we don't know how far this team could go together. They're trying to prevent a three-peat, 3 games, 3 series in a row for Queensland, let alone first time in 19 years victory at Suncorp, and then it's only ever been done twice before that. And it was 05 and 1994. And there's some good players that have gone in between those times that have missed out. But it's just, and I think Gus Gould summed it up pretty good on the 100% Footy show, is that Queensland had done enough in that game. They'd done enough to make past New South Wales teams to wilt. That's what he said. But it was just the siege mentality that New South Wales had, that they just didn't back down despite, that the onslaught from Queensland. They just were able just to get through there. And also there was no repeat of Queensland bullying tactics from 2022 when Burton was isolated by himself getting pummeled. And that's why as much as with the lawmakers and everything and the legislation, I back Holokowatu coming in like that. I back Cameron Murray coming off the bench, even though they're not on the field, coming in like that. And that was just because Cameron Murray said it. When he looked over, obviously it was between Luai and Daly Cherry Evans, but Nanai tackled him into where all the Queenslanders were. That shoulder, that kicked it all off. And Murray saw, even though I'm on the bench, I'm not even on the field, I'm going to go. So it was, mate against mate, but mate, even all those mates had their back as well. So that was part of that. That if things were going to happen, and Maguire made sure, they had talked about it too, that, if there was going to be a bit of push and shove, that these guys were ready for whenever it broke out. And, it's ugly in terms of you don't want kids to, repeat that. We don't condone it, but it's just those emotions and, the intensity of a game like as Origin. So I sort of commend it out and think Olakau'atu will change it. Doesn't regret it. He takes the stand down. But that's part of
I don't know. States I guess the players, like as a player, of course, they're willing to cop it. As New South Wales guys, you'll probably be like, man, worth it. Like it's worth it. But as the clubs, that's a hard thing for these clubs.
Yeah.
So like States, with Manly and the Rabbits.
Yeah, it is tough. Roger's big Manly fan, so I'm glad to hear him say that because that's probably going to affect his teams. There's a log jam of teams trying to make the 8, and that could be significant for himself as a Manly fan. But now, if you put yourself in the players' shoes, I mean, what are they supposed to do? You can't just stand back and let your teammates get a beating. Like, what kind of teammate would you be if you just stood there and said, "Oh, I'm not going to get involved. I'll just let you get a hiding." You need to be a teammate who backs the rest of your teammates up, and they need to trust you to that level. So, I felt for guys like Olakau'atu and Cam Murray because they're stuck between a rock and a hard place in a lot of ways. But they did the right thing, even though it could cost them and their club sides. That's still the right thing to do as a player. You still got to back your teammates up. So, I understand why they did what they did.
If it spilled out, if it stayed on the field, I reckon if it stayed on the field and Holokau'atu and Cam Murray ran onto the field, that's when. But because it's come off the field, it's. I've seen worse. I've seen worse, but that was they were just holding each other and pushing each other. There was nothing.
That's the thing. Like again, people keep saying, "Man, if you're going, like you were saying the other time, Roger, if you're going to get in trouble, then throw it." But do you reckon their charges would have got worse if they had actually done real fighting?
Yeah.
There was a lot more people that should be getting worse off fines than what they're getting, but how do they justify in the different scale that everyone gets? So obviously someone's looked upon it, but Olakau'atu, he's come in and in one way, one side of the fence, you could say he's justified in doing what he's done. The other side, obviously, will question that, and that's part of the juggle, I suppose, and the risk in high intensity sport, physical sport as well. And so you don't want to just stand there. If they pushed it right at his feet, and does he expect to do anything? Obviously, he's in the stands and the bleachers, but Cam Murray, I believe they can be forgiven. But yeah, like I say, if he knows he's gonna get some suspension or something, you may as well throw.
I wonder. I don't know this, but I wonder if it did sort of come into calculations. Like, you think if you're on the judiciary panel and you're trying to charge Olakau'atu, like, who are you punishing? He's done that for New South Wales, and he was sort of on the bench. You would just be stuffing up Manly season, who had no, like you mentioned earlier, Tons, they've had no involvement in it whatsoever. That just hurts them. That doesn't hurt New South Wales or anything in any way. So I don't know if they could change it up, like you get big fines and lose your whole 30 grand match fee or whatever.
Those two should be banned from the next 3 Origin games.
Yeah, maybe like they need to do something like that, but because like the only way any punishment you give
Murray aren't allowed to play the next 3 Origin games.
Hurts the clubs. You know what I mean? It hurts the clubs. So
yes,
ultimately,
my new petition. If those two play next 3 games. Mm.
What did you think, Tons, of the rearranging of the deck chairs on that team? So he picked Fujiwaka, Harry Grant, Felice Kofusi, Ruben Cotter to the second row. He
Was that
rearranged
panel
his whole
stations,
team.
Tanner? Was
Yeah,
it
so
panel
Billy Slater.
stations?
Yeah, so Billy said it wasn't, but like that late, like you'd think, because Madge wasn't playing any mind games. Like those mind games were there to play. Like that's the thing. Madge did the glass houses, and that's when Billy should have been dealing with it. And so when he goes, "Oh, this isn't panic stations," like, well, that's what it looks like, man. Like this isn't mind. If you want to do mind games, you stick to it and try and bring that. But so usually they do this kind of like, these kind of things to play those mind games because it's going to bring some strengths. But yeah, I guess technically, like, I guess that's the thing. The whole way, I think that's what I've looked at the New South camp. Manager's been consistent. He was going to always play that upfront game. He knew he had the bigger bodies and he was just going to roll and then just get that front football and that's kind of how he wanted to play it, just playing off the back of that defense and then getting in position. And so kind of Billy's approach kind of changed several times, and I think that's where it was, just panic station. I think he just just trying to be too clever. I think just the way he was trying to approach how he was going to stop these bigger bodies. A lot of commentary around, the penalty count up in Suncorp. So I think he was up against it there. So I think that's probably where he was just thinking, bringing on Mo to try and have a bit of a bigger body starting. But yeah, I think he was on a hiding to nothing just with those big bodies in New South as well. And then especially when Barnett was starting up there with Haas, that's just, I think it's similar to the Warriors, like, as a result when you get just two big bodies like that rolling down. So I think it was, as much as, trust in Billy, I think he was rattled, like, kind of as a Queenslander, it's hard to, you want to back him. But yeah, I think given the team he had, I think the community, like, I think it was rattled. Like, usually Billy's quite well spoken and really clear on what he was trying to do. So that game one, it made sense, all the statistics he had around why you'd have a back. So many of the games are lost if you lose a back, you pretty much lose the 80% of the games you lose because you haven't got a back to back up. So that made sense. And then kind of with the 12 on 13, it kind of worked out because, it was Reece that got off. But then, after that, kind of the lines of comms after the glass houses, as much as Billy says he wasn't rattled, there was little talk of strategy and how this all fits together. It was just, pick and, kind of different communication. You see Felice and them come in. So I think it was kind of a confusing team to try and back with Billy. And so a lot of it was just hoping on the back of, being Queenslanders. And kind of even what Billy's saying when people are saying, are you going to change the team? We're Queenslanders. What does that mean, Billy? We're Queenslanders. It means we're Queenslanders, mate.
Yeah, I thought there was, I thought at the start, I thought, shucks, this is panic stations, but I thought it almost half paid off, because you think about,
well, the big body, just slowing was helping.
Yeah, normally the opening 20 minutes is quite brutal, and then so he picks these guys to start, and then after 20 minutes when there's a bit more fatigue in the game, then he brings on sort of Lindsay Collins off the bench, he's that guy who can really bend through the middle. Jeremiah Nanai comes on, he's their best attacking sort of edge back rower. So in the all, after 20 minutes, you think, oh well, I've survived that first 20 minutes. Now I can bring on my second wave of attacking guys that I was going to start with. So I thought it might have worked. It didn't work, but I think that the planning was actually not too shabby.
And that's the thing. I think it did the job, but I think just the ferocity of that New South pack. It was those guys were done by that 20 minutes. Like, it was doing enough, and I think that was where Queensland was most of the game. It's just doing enough, and I think that's where it looked like, this is where it's a game 3, and it's always going to be close. But I think it was more just Queensland hanging on, like, and kind of when that wave came on to try and switch it, it just got a lot harder. But moments. I think again, like, Yeah, I mean, like when you look at that Queensland team, it's not far off from that team, which was the worst team in Queensland history. Like these guys were, the same guys that were unknowns when they first got named. Ruben Cotter, like who the heck, like Ngangai, even when Ngangai got named, all these guys, Taulangi, they're all these guys that kind of got named, and people were like, oh, who are these guys? Like, these guys actually Queenslanders, and they stood up. So I think, um, yeah, I think the New South Wales team was an amazing pack. And Billy, yeah, tried his best with the team he had. A lot of missing bodies, like just the presence of guys like Tino and Flegler. Like I think just those bigger bodies as well was probably missing, and that was probably really telling. Like you look at that front five for New South, you start that front five anywhere. Like you got Haas, Barnett up the front, and then you got Crichton, Angus Crichton and Liam Martin. Those two are just unstoppable.
Yeah.
Yes, a hard year, a hard watch. One guy I want to kind of get your guys' views on, because I mean, yeah, he did a ton of work, and you hear all these names,
Jake
yet he's
Trbojevic.
just so humble. No, Dylan Edwards at the back, like all those meters he gets, yet. Well, yeah, and Gerbo too, but like, well, I didn't know about Joe. Like, I didn't even know how he's captain. Like, Critter's gonna be captain next year, that's for sure. But Edwards, man, he just goes unsung and he doesn't cry about it. He just gets on with his job, and I think that's what he's done at the Panthers, and now he's in this arena. Seems like the same thing happening, like all these people getting called stars, and he just carries on with the most meters.
Yeah, man, Dylan Edwards, man, he was awesome in those 2 games that he came in. Obviously, almost missed. There were concerns that he was gonna, he didn't make game 1, but whether he was gonna be able to come in. But Dylan Edwards, just the meters that he got, and he got did he get player of the match for game 3? Or
Oh, did he? I didn't stay for that part.
Yeah, no, he did. He did. He got man of the match. You think about the game, like 14-4. That's really about effort and defense and doing the 1%ers. That's still Edwards to a T. So you think about if the game was like 32-30 or something like that, that means Reece Walsh on the other side's got line breaks and try assists and all the rest of it. So 2 different types of fullbacks with different styles. And I thought the game was more suited to what Dylan Edwards brings to the table. So I felt for Reece, he tried to get his running game on, trying to attack the wide channels. They just didn't have enough front football.
Yeah.
And so he didn't get to show his capabilities. And this was Dylan Edwards, a perfect game for him. Just getting into the grind, taking carry after carry after carry, and getting on the front foot for your team and trying to win it that way. So he's always been the effort guy. So yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing, like an effort guy that makes it effortless. Like the amount of fit, like how fit you have to be to keep working like him. But he never looks like he's like this. I guess that's probably why he goes unsung, because he's so effortless. Like to do that much work, yet he's always running around like he hasn't done anything. I'm like, man.
He's just consistent, eh? He's reliable at the back. He makes, like, even in those 2 games, he's 203 running meters in the first game, in game 2. And then 243 meters in that second, and 60 of those were post-contact meters, as well as 52 in the second in game 2. So, man, he's a workhorse, man. And then his kicking meters are up. He doubled his kicking meters in game 3 from what he had in game 2. So he's been doing it. He's 28 now, and obviously he was behind Tedesco. Tedesco was always going to be selected in front of him in years gone by, and I think he's had his opportunities. Almost a little bit hamstrung in game 1, so literally, but he's come back good, and then he just backs up again for Penrith, but just real nonchalant the way he goes about his business. But have I cut out?
No, you're right.
Yeah, so
Tans, what did you think?
Flash.
I wanted to get your idea because they lost just around some of the selections, because I've sort of taking the piss with my awards, but man, I don't know what Dave Fifita, why he wasn't there. Do you think about what Spencer Leniu brought to the Blues? Madge gave him a simple role and said, "Hey, look, we've got a lot of guys that can play big minutes, so I just need you to go on all guns blazing because you're only going to get 20 odd minutes. And he was quite destructive for us in that role. And I think David Fifita, he would have been an asset for Queensland off the bench doing similar things, giving him 20 minutes. Yeah. And let Carrigan and all those guys play the big minutes. So, I'm looking at Felice Kaufusi. He played 16 minutes, 2 runs for 4 metres. I mean, David Fifita offers more than that in that high-impact bench forward role. So, easy to
so
say
it
after
was a real
Queensland
confusing
lost.
one for me as well. Like, Fifita's had his issues in defence, but as of late, like, you can see his effort areas. Like, he's making all his tackles, he's covering tackles as well. So, yeah, I thought maybe there was a concern there, but yeah, no. In terms of defence, like, what he brings in attack, and I think like to those stats as well. Like, he was always going to be able to bring something different. Especially in a game like that where we didn't have front football. That's one thing he can do from a start, flat foot start. He can make something and break a line. Whereas you saw, even when Kalen came on, just struggling and just going sideways because there was no front foot where, just for Fifita kind of breaking a line or just a half break and having that offload, would have offered a lot more. So, again, I think that comes back to Billy being rattled, like just as, just those kind of things, like trying to bring in these guys, like I think, too busy. I guess, I feel like he was just trying to be a bit clever, trying to bring a bit more Queensland spirit rather than actually focusing on how they were going to defend it and just hoping that, bringing in the old heads like Ofusi and Gagai, just solidifying and kind of helping to lead the younger guys. Rather than kind of bringing someone like David to, he's got guys like Katoa to kind of help guide and lead. And I think, he's doing more of that, like at the Titans. So I don't know if Billy sees that, like expecting him to be more of a leader. Where I'm like, without Tino, he has pretty much been leading that forward pack, doing a lot of that with Mo. So and kind of working with Mo would have made more sense too. Kind of just that relationship there. Real strange one for myself there. Before we move on from the Origin, just irresistible team, especially game 2 and 3. Moses been amazing, but a lot of big names that weren't there. How do you see this team shaking up next year? Especially with guys like Cleary back, Turbo and Latrell not there as well. How much of this team changes, or are you happy to look to the future with these guys that you've got, or maybe just with Cleary coming back? But what happens to Moses when that happens as well?
Yeah, it'll be a combination of, do you stick with Cleary and Luai, or do you try Luai?
Start experimenting. If it ain't
You
broke,
stick with Luai and Mitchell, or do you go Mitchell, Moses, because he offers so much in his kicking game. But obviously, the spark that Luai can, his unpredictability, even though there's a lot of the time he's dancing and prancing around back and forth or left to right, not making any headway. But then you got Cleary who can, he can be the general and director any back line. So he could work with any of those two. The same way that Mitchell Moses and Luai's worked from game 2 and 3. So he's got good competition. Who I'm excited about is Mitchell Barnett too. Staying in the fold because unfortunately his minutes were limited because when Cam Murray got binned, then Mitchell Moses had to come off because Mitchell. There was no one that was on the field to get the yellow card. And Cam Murray. So, but yeah, I like the way that they've introduced Mitchell Barnett. So he goes good guns for the Warriors as well. Just real hard, no nonsense sort of forward. So just to add that, that muscle with Haas and Spencer Leniel. So, but exciting backs. Lomax, kicking it from everywhere on the sidelines. Is he someone that they continue to persist with as well? Good in the ear as well, but they've got some good players. But you're going to see guys like Angus Crichton in there for a wee while. You'll see that the old Penrith heads here, Spencer Leniel, Crichton, now that they've all gone to different clubs, but Jerome's going to the Tigers. So, but those combinations that were tried and true at Penrith Panthers and bringing them into New South Wales, those will be the guys going forward. But then, what's Luai's form going to be like next year at Tigers? Is that going to come into play if Tigers don't perform? Does that mean that Luai doesn't get, or are they going to pick him on past? I'm sort of saddened. That's probably the last we see of Dane Gagai, 33 years old, got an opportunity to come back in Game 3. The likes of him, him, Valentine Holmes, those guys have been around for a long time. Changing of the guard, as much as it is for New South Wales with players going. Tedesco, probably we won't see him again. Dylan Edwards, even at 28, coming in that late. I think he's got a couple of seasons if he continues, because the way he's been playing, he's been the best fullback, I believe. That's my personal opinion the last 2-3 years, and just hasn't been able to get a shot. But I think now's his time, and after those couple of performances, I think he'll be the fullback to try and beat next year and in the coming couple of seasons.
You see any changes coming in?
Yeah, it's tough. You want to stick with the winning side, but there's a lot of footy to be played between here and then. And I think Rog touched on a critical point from New South Wales side anyway, where Luai, he was awesome. He was close to player of the series for me, but he took $1.3 million, and he deserves it, to play for a team that's on track to win its third consecutive wooden spoon. And that's where rep careers go to die. You think Uppy, he was the best hooker for a while. He took the money, good on him, and he almost hasn't been cited since. So that's where it might get interesting.
Stace, what guys like Kikau, Stephen Crichton have done at the Doggies. They had a real poor year last year, but they're well and truly in the 8 this year. So maybe it's something that's the plan, hoping to bring a team from the bottom into contention for the 8.
Yeah, possibly. I don't want to get too far ahead, but look at Papali'i and all the rest of it. They have to pay overs to get players, and now they're realising, Papali'i's not worth that money, so they're trying to let him go early. John Bateman's not worth what he's on. They had to pay extra to get them there, and now they're not living up to their price tag. And I'm worried about Luai. He'll be one of the highest paid players in the whole comp, but he can't win it by himself. And then they're thinking, well, you're not worth the money, trying to send him off. It's this never-ending perpetual cycle for the Tigers. So it's not like one bad year, they're all right. They've been in this cycle for a decade. So I feel for Luai, because I feel like he's a crucial part of New South Wales. And I'm hoping that Madge might grant him an exception. But I think for the series next year, where New South Wales won, and Tunzi touched on it before, our forwards just ran through. And that's because Queensland didn't have, Tino wasn't there, Flegler wasn't there, Tom Gilbert wasn't there. Those are crucial guys for Queensland. So you think those guys come back, that front door run is not going to be open anymore. So I'm really interested in the tactical side of things as well as the personnel changes, because I don't think that they can win it necessarily the way they won the series this year. That's where it could be interesting.
Hey, is that right?
Who's over for you, Tunzi? Is someone's origin career ended for Queensland? I think Rog touched on a couple of guys.
Yeah. I think you probably mentioned Gagai, like an origin player. Like I think
23 appearances, man. He's played 2 years there.
So it was nice. I think it would have been an awesome way for him to kind of have a send-off, because he was a bit shocking last year for him to be dropped, especially after all the, how much we've seen what he can do in Origin. And I think, same for, how when we saw Latrell get injured and wouldn't be there for Game 3, I think it was the same kind of for you guys when you saw Gagai wasn't there last year. Like, you guys are idiots. And so, I think it was quite shocking to see an Origin player get dropped like that. And I think I think that was part of what Billy was thinking. Like, he's such an Origin player, we need that spark. The spark just seems to have gone. I don't know if that's just being out of the arena, and just quite hard to get back in. But no,
he still made heaps of tackles. He made 24 tackles in the Game 3, but missed 4, and we know one of those 4 was a real crucial tackle.
And it was so funny that that try too, because I remember leading up and just hearing commentary, and Cameron Smith was going, that's one advantage we're going to have, even though Bradman's come in with great form, Gagai, and Gagai taught him, so he's pretty much knows his game plan. He's the one who taught him, and Ponga's there, so they both, work with him. They know exactly, and those are the two that. So you go that way, I'll go this way. Nice. Any other last comments before we move on to our wrap of the round 20? Any congratulations before we carry on? Yes. It's been a while, but yes, you guys deserve that win for sticking in there. So congratulations to yourself.
I think everyone talks about their try, the Bradman Best try, but we're failing to mention the Mitchell Moses try where came in. Harry Grant came off the line a bit too early, raced up, and so Mitchell Moses capitalised on that gap. Hammer, Tibuai Fido flew over the top from behind, so he couldn't. So there was a gap there. Hammer tried to come in, and then poor Reece Walsh had his ankles broken. Mitchell Moses' footwork, try. 3. We talk about the Ponga and Dan Gagai tackling on the left-hand side there, on the right-hand side for Queensland. But that try there sort of sealed, and that's what they're saying, that could be one for the ages, that kind of try. Those 3 players that I just mentioned, those Queenslanders, any other day they would have made those, especially a Harry Grant. For him to race out like that.
I can't remember the try. I can't remember it. I remember Moses scored, but I can't.
Well, there was only 2 tries in that game anyway.
I was too deep into my drinks.
Stace,
anything else from the game?
Yeah, I think what she hit the nail on the head for me with his opening sort of monologue where he talked about we haven't won a decider at Suncorp for how many years. And it's just so hard for New South Wales to get a win there. I think Andrew Johns was the halfback the last time we played, which we got a win there, which tells you how long it's been. And I thought that Queenslanders get a lot of calls. Yeah, 2005, you're right. Queenslanders always get those calls at home. So that's where I thought it was going to be difficult for us. So I thought the ref, Ash Klein, had a massive influence over the game. So he tried to do the right thing by putting the whistle away. But the flip side of that is that the
almost gave
players start. The players start. They're trying to get these calls. The players start to push the boundaries on what's acceptable. So you think in game 2, the play the ball speed, I'm just having a look now, 3.35 seconds.
Sure.
So in game 3, the play the ball speed was 4.05 seconds. So we're talking about 0.7 seconds per play the ball. So that allowed Queensland to get back on side. So New South Wales are running through them. That 3.35 seconds in game 2, that's just standard origin speed. And then they're just getting buggered. That's how New South Wales were able to open them up. But that slower play the ball speed meant that they were able to get back on side, reset their line, and hold them out. And that's why that 20-minute opening period where you get sort of, it's quite tight, that opening 20, then the fatigue starts to get in and opens up a bit more. Because the play the ball speed was so slow, that fatigue didn't happen. So 30 minutes, people are still smashing each other. 40 minutes, 50 minutes. The fatigue was taken out of the game because of the ruck speed was so slow from Ash Klein. And that's because Queensland were just lying all over the play the ball, trying to stop New South Wales from taking advantage of their forward momentum. So for them to overcome that and get a win, that was a win for the ages for New South Wales away. So after game 1, I thought the series was pretty much gone. I didn't think we could ever win a decider at Suncorp, so
nice.
I'll give a shout out to the boys.
Nice stats there too. 2005, the last time when you guys won at Suncorp, and after that, Queensland went for a run of 8 years in a row. So hopefully we see some more repetition of some stats.
Good way to close it. It's the Queensland's ultimate line.
We always got to finish off that, man. We always got to finish on that. All right, let's get into round 20. Let's start here. We'll come to you first, Stace. Round 20, the Warriors versus Raiders. This is kind of the back end run. The Warriors, before this game, were needing 6 from 7 to have any chance making the top. A couple of soft tries. They're gonna rue that first opening 10 minutes. Like I think that's what undone them. Just that it's just really like slow off the mark. Like when they kind of woke up, they were fine, but just that a slow start. Like Yeah, and then the kicks as well. But yeah, that one, Stace.
Yeah, that was a frustrating loss, just for us as supporters. You think the season's on the line. Like you mentioned, they had to win 6 from 7, so there's not a lot of leeway for losses at this point. And I know the coach, Andrew Webster, he tried to do the right thing by Chanel and say that, they didn't lose because of the goal kicking. But the Warriors scored 4 tries to 3.
Yeah.
And goal kicking was the difference. So,
That's exactly what it was, yeah.
Yeah, I've done a ladder predictor. I always like to try and do the ladder predictors, and I had the Warriors making the top 8 because I had them winning that game.
Yeah.
But now that they've lost that game, I've got them finishing 10th and missing out. So I feel for Chanel because that was rough for him, the goal kicking. But that loss was crucial, in my opinion, in the context of the season. So I've actually got them missing the 8 after that loss.
Oh, all already. Rog, did you watch this game? You catch this game on Friday?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch any game other than the one that mattered.
Nice. Yeah,
on
that's
Sunday.
right. We'll come to you when it gets to
I
Manly.
did see the highlights. I did see the snippets of, a dejected
Chanel,
Harris Tavita in the changing rooms. Felt sorry for him. Hey, I guess it's the pressure of professional rugby league, of the sports arena, and you've got a whole, a lot of supporters that are urging you on to get those sort of goals. When you see a Lomax get goals easily from the side, and Harris Tavita's had his fair share as well from the side of the field, but unfortunate for him, he was carrying that pressure and unable to execute. But, and then there was one that was really a poor kick, but like you say, Stacey, would have made the difference, scoring the 4 tries, missing out on 3 out of the 4 kicks. So could have made a difference. But the way, it's interesting because there is a bit of congestion around the bottom half of the 8. There's from the Bulldogs, Manly are on 25 points, but then you got the Bulldogs all the way to the Dragons sitting in 9th, are all on 24. So, anyone could miss out. And then you've got the Raiders, Broncos at a stretch that could still make their way in. But are we going burgers with the Warriors, Tana? Like Stacey's calculating, yeah. Missing out.
So their final 6 games are probably, I think, that's the thing. They've dropped so many early that they should have won, and there's just a lot of these games at the back end as well that they're just going to get hard. The games that they can win, it's just attitude whether the Warriors are there. Like you've got teams like the Tigers and Eels next, which should be straightforward, but kind of where that's that mindset. And then also these teams, like they should be easy beats. But they're just like, when it comes to Warriors, like there's nothing on the line for them, but they're just Faleanga Mare teams when it comes to the Warriors. So
yeah, man.
these are those guys. But yeah, I guess the real teams that are a threat, like we've still got teams in the top 8. You've got the Finns, Manly, Dogs, and Sharks. So I think, maybe out of those 4, maybe Dogs possibly. But yeah, I think to Stacey's stats, unfortunately, I think there's still. I think that's one positive. Like just seeing the fan base is still there, sold out crowd this week. Maybe that's because it's do or die. Probably the last few games will be do or die.
So they're sold out, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to turn up. The tickets are sold.
I think the fans will turn up. Like this is pretty much like if you want to come and watch the Warriors at their best with RTS finally starting as well. So we'll get into the preview, but I think every game should be exciting as they kind of go down to the wire. Again, like internally, I guess that's all off the back of what they did last year. I think they've got that's one thing, like in terms of what Andrew Webster did last year, they did something that no one else kind of thought they were in the position to do, and it was all internal, and that was their own personal internal talk as a team to go, we've got a plan, and we know how to put it in place. So I think, the guys that they had, like there's a few injuries, and so it just depends like how well, these makeshift guys coming in. Like I think there's I think beginning of the year we thought we had a lot of depth, and now you've got guys like Edward Gussie coming back, and a few others. So I think I don't see the Warriors doing it this year. Probably for the fan base though. I think it's kind of. I just hope that the bandwagon isn't like these guys. Why do we jump on it? Like I want them to kind of stay on. There is a journey too. These guys. Part of those buying players. Like not every team's going to win the comp. So I think kind of it is a close comp, especially for the fans too. Like to know that this is a team that this far out, there is still games to play and still something to play for. But yeah, after this week, it gets a lot harder. Like, kind of, you look at the Eels and the Tigers' attitudes now. They've had nothing to play for a couple of weeks. You kind of play off pride and just for your own self. That gets tired after a little while. So, as a player, that why gets a bit tiring, and you kind of start to feel a bit more injured than you actually are. So, an answer, long answer, yeah. I don't see them doing it, unfortunately. Thanks for that, Rog. Let's go to game 2 of the round, Tigers and the Rabbitohs. Heaps of points in this game. I actually thought the Tigers looked good. Those Fingal brothers look real good. They look impressive. I guess maybe that's part of the letting go of Papali and Bateman. I think there's 3 brothers in the team. But I don't know if you caught this one, Stace.
Yeah, I caught this one. Like you mentioned, Tigers were good. Well, they're good for 60 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
And, I think the Rabbitohs scored 3 tries late, so that sort of blows the score out a bit if you're just looking at the end result. But they had this young hooker there, which I quite like, Talon De Silva. So, you add in sort of some of those other young guns, the Whainu boys you talked about, Galvin at 5'8" looks good. So there's some potential green shoots there for the future. I know Tigers fans don't really want to hear that as they're sort of in the running, like I said before, for a 3rd consecutive wooden spoon. But, you add Luai, and if they can keep young Stefano, I think there's, the makings of a top 8 side in there somewhere.
You reckon they'll keep
If they can
Stefano?
get it all together. No. I don't.
Yeah. Looks like he's looking to walk. So it'll be interesting. Like, what they're buying. Like, so yeah, like you're saying, they're freeing up cap. But what do they need? Like, what's kind of missing from that team? Decent house.
Well, probably better coaching.
Yeah.
I in my opinion, I look at their team on paper. They should be not last. I don't know where they should be, but they should be a bit higher than that. And like I said before when I was talking about with Rog, there's this never-ending cycle of just trash. They have to overpay for these guys, so they paid heaps for Papali'i, they paid heaps for Bateman. Then after a couple of years, they realise, hold on, these guys aren't performing for the amount they're paying them, so they're giving them early releases now. They're overpaying for Luai, overpaying for whoever they're going to keep. They're going to have to pay Utui Kamanu a whole heap to keep him. After a couple of years, they're saying, hey, look, these guys are on exorbitant amounts of money. They're not worth what they're worth. Let them go. And you're just going round and round and round in circles. They need to do proper evaluations of people's price and just suck it up and say, hey, look, this is what you're worth. We're not going to pay you anymore. Get their salary cap in order. Trust the youngsters and then build on that. Because this overpaying for players, which they're doing, which they've been doing, it's just not working.
Yeah.
Granting these early releases again.
Nice. Actually, we'll get to the Rabbits in our preview. We'll talk more on them. All right, let's go to the. I missed the Knights Broncos. Anything you want to mention out of that game? They had their stars back. They got a win. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Reynolds, the difference.
Yeah, Reynolds back. Yeah.
I think Broncos are in a good position to make a good run. They're fighting at 11th at the moment. They're on 20 points. So they've had 18 games, 20 points. What round are we on to? Round 20, 21, eh?
So with the Broncos, they've got
Round
they're now 5 from 6, so they need 5. the only thing I see with them, they've still got the Dogs to play. The Dogs are on the up. They've still got the Finns, and I think the Finns have got the rub on the Broncos this year, and then the Storm. So those are three key games that I think they miss a couple of those. The Broncos are done as well. So up the Dogs. Dogs. Yeah, I don't, did Kalen back up on that one? I missed the game. I wasn't sure if he how he did in that game.
Yep, he was there. The Bronx, that's the best performance they've had for a while. And, we talked about Origin quite extensively, and I know a lot of the Queenslanders would have been disappointed with that result, so they'd want to put in a good performance. So I thought Reece Walsh, he was back to his best.
Nice.
And I think, Roger, you touched on a crucial point. Adam Reynolds, he made a huge difference. The Bronx, they've got if you look at their team on paper, all the components are there for them to be great. But it's just Adam Reynolds, he just plugs everyone in and he sort of maneuvers all the chess pieces into the right spots. So him being back made a huge difference. So they're on thin ice as well, where the Warriors are at. So he's going to have to pull finger Reynolds to get them through.
Yeah, especially those last few games. Like I think they might be able to scrape in. But yeah, probably the Storm and the Finns. They got the Dogs actually twice. So yeah, that should be interesting. The Storm and the Roosters probably game of the round. Like just top two as well. But man, the Storm showing their dominance. Like Jerome Hughes has been, just those few games he's been injured, but since then, man, he has just carried on from where he was last year as well. So yeah, he's just been so consistent. One of the best. But yeah, just I guess Bellamy's ability to kind of make these amazing players out of these guys that were unheard of. Yeah, I think the Storm look like the Premiership favourites to me, like at the moment. Yeah.
How did the Disco look in that game, Tana?
Teddy went all right. Like, yeah, the Roosters weren't too bad. Like, they had a heap of mistakes, though. Like, they had heaps of opportunities. Dom Young dropped a few balls. Like, yeah, Roosters.
So I thought they'd make a better go at it, eh? But that scoreline,
they
24-8.
They were close. Like, every time they had the ball, like, they got downfield okay. But just little mistakes to end their set or just little rubbish that they were mucking up. But yeah, and then the Storm just being able to finish off their sets. So I think the Roosters will get better than that. But yeah, it'll probably from what I saw from the Storm, they look Premiership favourites. They look real good. And Munster's still to come back as well. So I guess that's the other scary thing with how well the Storm's going at the moment. They still. I guess that just shows the quality. Like even like last year, they kind of people just thought they didn't do as good as they could have. It's like, man, that's a crazy standard that these guys kind of set for themselves. And now they're sitting at the top of the table for a few weeks. Like they're well in there to take it out minor premiership, and there's still people who aren't sold on them. So it's just it's almost like how much people expect from the Storm side. Stace, you catch this game, the Storm Roosters?
Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah.
First versus third. With you, that should have been sort of a blockbuster game, one of the best games of the round. But it was a bit more one-sided. So just looking at some of the stats, Storm have now won 14 of their last 17 against the Roosters. And if you think about who's in the premiership contention, the Storm and the Panthers, and the Roosters, but the Roosters are 1 of 20 against the Storm and the Panthers in their last 20 games. So I think the Roosters are third best at this point, which is fair. I think they're coming in around that area. And I think the Storm and the Panthers are a little bit better. You think that, like you mentioned, Tons, Storm getting back Munster, Panthers just got back Cleary. They've got another gear to go. And we're seeing the best of the Roosters so far. So,
and was Peppenhausen playing for the Storm?
He was, and he was awesome. That spine they've got, and it's typical Storm. Like you think about their left edge, they normally have Munster, Remus Smith, and Xavier Coates, and they were all out. And they had some unknown dudes that I hadn't heard of.
They played so well
and
too.
they carved. They still went attack that side.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, Dom Young they targeted him, and these unheard of guys actually outplayed the Roosters. Some big names on the Roosters side. So
Yeah, they stood up. Was it Jack
yeah.
Howarth and Grant Atkinson?
Jack Howarth,
Yeah.
never heard of him before, but he was awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
there's some
don't
names,
remember who
Grant
that boy
Anderson,
was.
Sean Blore.
Grant Anderson, yeah,
Oh,
that's
Anderson.
right. Sean,
Sean Blore's been good. Like, man, he's quite good. Just the way he hits that ball. Like, just the games I've watched him play. Like, he's pretty impressive. Like, he's unassuming, but just the way he hits onto that ball, always gets good. Yeah.
Yeah, because
but
he's
we
saying
talked about this.
3 line breaks.
We talked about this earlier, like when talking about the Tigers. But he was there, Sean Blore.
Oh.
That's where they found him.
Okay.
He was at the Tigers, and he was nothing there. He comes to Melbourne, and he's bloody awesome. So that you think about the Tigers and who they've got. They overpaid for some of these back rowers, Papali'i and Bateman, and they had Blore right there, who was just average Joe. Sent him to Melbourne, and he's bloody awesome.
Well, it goes to your point.
Tigers got cultural issues. Sorry to put the boot into the Tigers, talking about a different team, but
but it goes to your point about coaching. Like, I think any player
that's right.
that gets picked up and goes to the Storm, you're kind of excited for that player. Like, I was excited for it as well. Like, as much as we lost him from the Warriors, you look at the kind of player he's become now over at the Storm.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully we got some kind of agreement where we get him back at the Warriors when he's done his time there. It's like our feeder club now. Send them to the Storm and then they can send them back when they're better. You catch that Panthers game, Rog? Or just the Manly one now?
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch it, but I just heard about the clincher at the end.
Yeah. Cleary
on his comeback match, 40-metre. Was it 40-metre penalty?
42
drop
42-metre drop goal.
Oh, so then that becomes a 2-pointer, eh?
Yeah.
So were they draw?
They drew. So they were drawn. It was going to go to golden. It was golden point. Sorry.
It wasn't golden point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. So they had a chance. So I don't know if Katoa just got a bit too excited, but they 3 minutes out, regular time, and they were right in. They had a good set, and on the final, they were set up. They probably had 2 plays in front of the post, but they were only 20 out. And then on the last day, everyone thought he was going to kick, but he just did a normal kick for a try. Yeah, and it wasn't until after, and then he kind of realized what he should have done. He's like, yes. I think he's just young, though, so he's still got a good chance. He's still got a big career. You been following him? That Isaiah Katoa from the Dolphins?
No, well, just heard I haven't really been following, but I've seen that he's doing good though, because he's only young.
Yeah, he's another young ex-Panthers as well.
Yeah, it was when that guy, that Pangai Junior guy, the boxer, when he came back, and how he left in his retirement. What do you call it? Conference, media conference, and he said that he's had enough of taking orders from halfbacks and coaches. But then they did a sniffle on Katoa. I'll tell him where to go. I'll tell him what to do.
Well, he looks like that kind of kid. Yeah, apparently he's quite a well-educated kid. He's well-spoken. So he's impressive, especially for an Islander. I like it, just seeing him kind of one of those positions where it has to be like a thinker and just it's good to see these boys coming through too, especially in these kind of playmaker roles. Him, Jerome, all these kind of guys, and being clutch players. I was just saying about Isaiah Katoa, how well he's been going for the Finns.
There was a lot of talk about him before the Dolphins had played their first NRL game made last year. And so, he's 2 seasons deep now, and they're looking at making the playoffs, top 8. But, how far into the top 8 do they go?
Very far, I reckon. I reckon these guys can go real far. Like, that Panthers game, other than Katoa not taking that opportunity, I reckon they can go deep, actually. I don't know, Stace. Here's me saying that I reckon they'll go deep beginning of the year, saying these guys are my wooden spooners.
Yeah, Katoa, like you say, he's been really impressive. He's an interesting character. He isn't declared as allegiance, but he played for Tonga at the World Cup.
Oh, gee.
He was from New Zealand. He's eligible for the Kiwis, and he's played
Kiwis.
his junior footy in New South Wales, so eligible for the Blues. But
Come to
he's
the
a player
Kiwis.
to watch for the future.
Yeah, I guess that's
For
Is he?
sure.
What?
Yes.
Far
wow.
out.
Hmm. So yeah, he's just been a bit shady on his allegiance, which I get. You know, he's still got a long way to go before he starts declaring, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, and probably as a young
this or
kid
that or
too. He's
whatever."
only
So
20, so he's probably like, man, I'm not even thinking. I'm just trying to play some good footy at the moment. So yeah, crazy that
that was a great signing because you say he's from the Panthers junior, so he would have been stuck behind Cleary, and he would have been playing first grade pretty much. So for him to say, "I'm going to leave and go somewhere else," and you think about Wayne's sort of Wayne Bennett, he doesn't really do just build up years and all the rest of it. He goes for the wins. So that's why he chased after Panway Jr.
yeah.
Make sure he comes in before the cutoff and say, hey, look, you come in and just give me a little bit more oomph towards the playoffs. And I think he's going to try and win it now.
Yeah.
They're probably sort of in the outsiders.
And yeah, I think
they'll
that's
be in the
where he can
playoffs
do
and
like
they'll
that
be close.
silent run, just everyone
Yeah, that's
unassuming.
right.
And I think, Bennett's got the goods, like just amazing again. Like we talk about these coaches, managers, like the team, like those guys on roster, like just such a smart coach, knowing exactly like the kind of players that he wants, like the buys that he picked up in Flegler and Farnworth, and then now kind of seeing a
Yeah.
gap and then pick up someone like TPJ, like just such a insightful kind of coach, just so clever. All right, I'm moving right along over to David Fifita's team, the Titans, taking on Manly. Uh, yeah, picked up a little cheeky win on the first try scorer there on Alafayana. Still running them
Oh,
in,
nice.
but that's about all the Manly Titans got in at the beginning of this game, and then Manly just ran wild. How your boys looking, Rog? You confident?
That's all I've got to say about that matter.
Yeah, you guys happy in being in the 8? You reckon the boys will try and push for a top 4 spot, or just to kind of
Well,
prepare for the 8?
they still got a chance because they could still overtake the Roosters. They're only a point adrift from the Roosters, so getting into that top 3, so that they got a chance of getting in the top 4 by coming in at 4th, and then depending on how the Sharks shape from for the last few rounds, no Nico Hines for the Sharks, but Sea Eagles are just with Turbo back, he scored a brace of tries. Then you got Ben Trbojevic scoring as well. Tommy Talau, I'm a little bit unsure about Tommy Talau because they chucked him on the wing. I think he started in centre, but he doesn't quite have the pace for a winger. I don't think he got run down by a second rower on the weekend. So yeah, I think centre's probably where he's a good finisher when not long range tries, but he got cut down by a second rower. Can't remember who it was from the Titans, but the Titans they blew out to an 8-0 lead.
I thought they were going to go
But
on.
then and they were looking good in that first half, but then once the turbo boosters kicked in, then Manly scored 38 unanswered points. But it was good, Jason Saab playing well. I quite like Jason Saab. He's a really tall boy, but he's quite aggressive in the tackle
Yeah,
as
he's got a
well.
bit of mongrel, quite quiet, but yeah, it's good to
But I
see
think
that.
he's been finding his feet. But then Lehi Boate as well. Unfortunately, he got a broken eye socket, so he might be out for a wee while. Not sure if he'll make it back in time for the remainder of the season. Maybe for playoffs.
Lehigh.
But how long does a broken socket take to heal? But you got these young, exciting players like Tommy Talau's first season with the Sea Eagles. You got Lehigh, Boate. But good to see Turbo come back in just in time. If he's fighting fit into the playoffs, then it's always we've got a good chance with the team that we've got. Garrick was kicking from all over the place, showing a bit of toe as well. But then having Turbo in there just helps it. And I think Jake Trbojevic had more minutes in that one game than he did the whole series for Origin. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting,
I
like
think
how because Manly were real impressive at the beginning of the season, kind of dropped off a little bit. But yeah, having Turbo back, yeah, it could be a bit of a
just
push.
adds to their adds to their campaign, and I think they're going to be. They'll probably come unstuck against a couple of the bigger teams like Storm and Panthers. They'll be the real challengers, but with Turbo there, it just bolsters their chances, I guess, against any of those teams. But I'm not sure what our run looks like coming home. Where is it?
And
It
the
looks like we've got Roosters next round.
oh yeah, you lose that one.
Then we've got a bye. Then the Raiders, Warriors in August 16, and then the Tigers. So, and then the Bulldogs, and then to finish off round 27, the Sharks.
That's a good run
So
to
there's still
the
some,
final, yeah.
There's a few top teams in there. But so that last game against the Sharks might be, the defining moment to see whether we
Yeah, probably
can
between you.
sneak into
for
four or
the
not.
Yeah.
But then we've got the Roosters as well. Because if the Roosters beat us, then we might be just settling for fifth and fighting it out for any of those bottom eight teams, bottom eight positions.
Nice. Last game of the round, the Cowboys and Dogs. You boys catch any of the highlights from this one? Cowboys just pipping them at the end there, taking out this game.
Yeah, I think the Dogs they weren't I didn't think they were the favourites. I think, was it Cowboys at home?
Yeah, Cowboys were the favourites for this. I think most people thought it was.
And so that was a bit of a surprise. Like, it was good that they were able to come home with that one.
Yeah, that was a tough one, because you think about the Cows got a lot of Origin guys and trying to back up, so it's quite hard to know how they're going to go, and that made it quite hard to pick. But the Cowboys, I think they've won 6 of their last 8 against the Dogs now, so they seem to sort of have their number a little bit. And you think Cowboys at home, I mean the Dogs, they've had a good season, but now they're 1 of 9 away from home, so not a great record. At home, Dogs have been outstanding, but away, 1 of 9, not good enough. So that was actually a lot closer than I thought. I picked the Cows to win just based on those stats. But that was a good game. And some good performances there for the Cows. So important for them. 2 teams vying in that same boat, trying to vie for those top 8 positions and then that log jam. So for the Cows to get that win, they'll be happy with that.
Very good. Nice, boys. Before we move on, been a few changes to the Immortals framework. They've made some changes there. Just wanted to quickly check in with you, boys, your thoughts on the changes and also who you think might be likely to be called into the next induction. So every 4 years now, and maximum of 2 inductions per 4-year cycle. So 1 induction per 4 years.
Was it 1 before?
So it used to be once every 5, but they've reduced it down now. And so they have a once every 4-year cycle. But it used to be I think, what was the stand down?
How many Immortals per cycle?
1.
And now it's 2.
Up to 2.
Up to 2.
So you can most likely 1, but if you feel compelled, the judges can put 2 in at once. But every 4 years, I think Mel the last one to get inducted. 4 years ago, I'm looking at the team. So
when was
13 all up, just having a look. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure when he was, because he's retired. He's been retired for close to 20 years now. I think 05 might have been his last year. I might be making that up, but he was. There was quite a bit of controversy around that because he skipped the queue. That they sort of just put him in without considering all the older players before him, and that sort of stuffed up a lot of the voting. But he's been in there for a while now. But I think he might be
Mel was the last in 2018.
Yeah, he might be the last one who's retired, Andrew Johns, so in terms of retirement. So none of the modern guys in there. Anyone got any thoughts on who they'd like to see in there next?
Yeah, there's a lot of names, like how they choose, like, is such a, especially when they're making it shorter and shorter for when they can choose who will get in there.
Oh, so there's
Yeah, so just
13 names.
just for our listeners who are a bit unsure about some of those changes, I'll just for our listeners, it used to be you've got to be retired for 5 years.
5, okay.
And now it's changed. So you only have to be retired for 3 years to be inducted, to be considered for immortal status. So that pulls guys like Cam Smith and Billy Slater and those guys who probably wouldn't be in the reckoning for this. For the running this time.
Lockyer.
They're eligible. Lockyer.
I'm thinking Lockyer, but
why is that?
Still Freddie. Freddie's not in there.
You got Darren Lockyer or Jonathan Thurston, Alfie Langer.
Thing is, so many others. Yeah, Alfie, Laurie Daly.
You think about Alfie Langer. She's been retired for how long? For what he did for the Broncos. You know how many championships has Alfie Langer won? The Bulldogs. I mean the Broncos.
Yeah. So what would make you choose one over the other? I don't know because I guess they do.
What's the criteria?
System.
Well, it's all about on-field ability. So it doesn't matter. Because I know Andrew Johns, they thought that was controversial because he was he was doing drugs and all sorts of stuff off the field, but that's got nothing to do with it. You don't have to be a great guy. You don't have to do anything. It's everything you've done on the field. And even Mel Meninga, he coached Queensland to 8 Origin victories. That doesn't come into it either. It's Mel Meninga's in purely because he's one of the greatest centres who's ever lived. So it's all about on-field performance.
You have to have Alfie up here. Because I guess that's the hard thing. If you go,
I think someone that's real obvious lately. I mean, in recent times, Jonathan Thurston for his heroics. You know, would he get? And I know he's more modern.
This is why
so you have to be a Hall of Famer, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, you got to be a Hall of Famer first. But this is why I don't like that rule of changing it down to 3 years, because that pulls a lot of recency bias into it. Everyone remembers how good Thurston was and Slater and all these guys, Inglis or whatever, just because they just played. You just saw them play not that long ago. So
we can only base it off the guys that we've seen from the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, in this decade. But man, you think about guys the other guys that in the 13 Immortals is guys from Bob Fulton, Reg Gasnier, Clive Churchill. You know, this guy. You know, what about the rest of the guys that they played with back then? You know, who vouches for some of the guys back? You know, post the 1980s.
Yeah. So
Wally Lawson and Arthur Beaton. Beaton was
a selection panel of 12 members who vote on the final fight.
I think Buzz is on there, true. And I think Andrew Webster, the Sydney Morning Herald guy, I know he's on there. I don't know who else is on there.
Okay. Yeah. So who was yours?
Quite hard. I wouldn't pick Langer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have
go with what? Someone further back?
Yeah, it's hard because I think guys like Ken Irvine and all the rest of it, probably the greatest winger who's ever lived. But it's hard because that was before we've watched. I'm similar to Rog, where I'd only, just for me personally, I'd only pick the players
like in your memory
that I've seen. Yeah. So when I think of guys like Alfie, he's great, but he got dropped a few times for Ricky Stewart. They played in the same era, so he wasn't out and out the best halfback of his era. He probably was, but he wasn't clear cut. So I'm discounting him for that reason. So I like, I think Cam Smith to me is the obvious guy. To me, him and Andrew Johns are neck and neck in the GOAT status for the best players I've ever seen. But the guy that I would pick is actually Glenn Lazarus. So he's an absolute one. Just putting up his things
Glenn Lazarus, as you guys are talking.
Yeah, actually, because he's been around like
for
every place he went.
Because he was Broncos and then he was Melbourne Storm.
Yeah. And he was
I'm just pulling up some of his info here. So he won 2 premierships with the Raiders, 3 with the Broncos, and 1 with the Storm. So he's the only player in history to win premierships with 3 different clubs. He played in 5 consecutive grand finals from 89 to 93. He was voted the best player on the 94 Kangaroo Tour, 22 Origins, 22 Tests, and he was named as the starting prop and New South Wales team of the century. So I think he is the best prop I've seen.
And that's impressive
And I
for a
think he
prop to
might be
have
the
that
best
much
prospect.
impact, like to go around.
Yeah.
Because, that's the thing. It's like him that was the one that was moving to these clubs and getting these wins. It's not like...
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Yeah,
Must
he's
be.
in the Hall of Fame as well.
I'm going to say yes.
He was inducted in 2008.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's a...
New South Wales team of the century is... There's a guy here, Frank Burge, who's a lock, and his date of birth is 1894.
Oh, shucks.
And he's an immortal. So his milestones, these are his milestones, 1921 to 22, Australian Rugby League Team of the Century.
Oh, yeah, well,
okay.
there you go.
And then you got New South Wales Team of the Century. And he was rated, in 2008, this is 2008, he's rated as number 17 in the Rugby League Week's top 100 players. And this is someone that was born in the 1890s.
It's the thing, like how they,
1894.
Well, that's the thing. They look back over
so he
100
must be
years
just
of
reading.
rugby
But then you
league
look
trying
at
to pick one.
his games. He played 242 games, 994 points. But here's the kicker for me: 256 tries.
What position is he, a winger?
He's a
Oh,
lock.
shucks.
So I'm thinking,
Maybe the game was very different back then.
Must be.
but then
Where
where does it
stand on the wing?
But then you look at a guy. I thought I'm confused because I thought Steve Menzies. Where does a guy like Steve Menzies
Oh,
fall?
Hey.
No, he's not in the conversation.
Beaver.
I'm saying, hey, he's scored the most tries. I thought the most tries in NRL, but then you look at a guy like Frank
Yeah, he's
Burge,
still
256 tries.
How many?
So maybe they're not including that in the modern game.
But how many was Frank Burgess? Two.
Frank Burgess 256 tries.
Yeah, Beaver's still
Wow.
266.
Alex Johnston's he's far off that. He's way off that. See?
Yeah. I'm voting for Glenn Lazarus or Cam Smith. I think it might be too early for Cam Smith because he's just
When you
retired.
put it like that, Stace, I can see as much I disliked Cam Smith as a player, as a Storm, as a Queenslander. I can see because he was just out and out, always chosen. He was the best. He was the Kangaroo 9. He was the Queenslander 9. Melbourne Storm, he just played all the time.
Yeah.
So I can see why he stands out head and shoulders above the rest, right?
Yep.
But, yeah, I just disliked him. That's my personal opinion. I'll take that to the board.
Nice picks, boys. All right.
He was the biggest example of a grub. Anyway, carry on.
Let's get into, before we go into our preview of round 21, the Ice Kalava Cup. Earlier on, I upcut myself for where I'm at because, yes, I had an opportunity to fix up my team and I dropped the ball. How are your boys? How's your Roger? What's up with your Eats team? Maybe we're going on a bit of a run there. What are you 6-0 on the last 6 games?
I get mocked when I'm floundering at the bottom. The last few seasons, and then I think I've won 7 in a row or something
straight.
ridiculous. 6 or 7 in a row. And I was at the bottom. There were times when I was just at the bottom in the early part of the season, but I find myself in 4th with 11 wins and 9 losses. So, yeah.
So what's your strategy been, mate? You've been pick and stick?
Absolutely, mate. You look at my team, I will suffer in a couple of weeks' time when Manly have a bye because I've got a truckload of Manly players. But, Fanua Blake's been a huge... I've been sticking with Daly Cherry Evans being my captain, but Adam Fanua Blake has been getting some serious points. Last week he got 75 points for the Warriors. So he's been trying to chew, but Daly Cherry Evans been good. Just didn't really do well last week. But I've got Drinkwater, Jason Saab, Sami from the Titans as well. But
You're looking good, mate.
I've just introduced Lindsay Collins, but Lawton got me some good points as well.
How about you, Stace? This year or the next? You didn't have a very good run last year, but look like you're in the running this year. Top 3, mate.
Yeah, coming third. Just having a look now. So sort of art imitates life. You look at the table, it's second to sixth, all on 22 points. So quite congested, like the actual NRL table. And I've got Simon this week, so that's third against fifth. There's going to be some movement in there, and amongst those top 6 teams. So you're getting to that crunch time where you got to start getting those wins. It's getting harder because every week someone's getting injured, and you're seeing some players just, you might be going strong this week, and then someone's out for the rest of the season. Yes, I've just lost Jai Arrow. He's had season-ending surgery. He's been bloody awesome for me. And I'm trying to find someone else. So there's not much on the hub, but hopefully I can hold on and get some carry on this momentum.
Yeah, it's a very pick and stick comp. I noticed there's no point trying to ask for trades in this comp, so very congested with 3 rounds to go. So I think everyone's making do on the free trades and the. But yeah, I'm currently sitting just outside the 6 with 3 rounds to go. So hopefully pick up a couple wins there. I've actually got the guys below me in the next few rounds, so hopefully if I can steal points from them and a couple of you guys can knock off each other and cancel each other out, I should be able to creep into that 6. Hopefully I take Roger's space.
Yeah, I had a close one a couple of weeks ago against Golden Elites. By 20 points. But it was one of those days, one of those weeks when there was a lot of buys, I think it was State of Origin week.
Nice, boys.
So I hit and miss sometimes, but I've just been fortunate.
So we've still got so the ladder as it sits now. Cameron Saw still on top, Mike as well, coming in their second. Stace, Roger following closely behind. Via Bronx, Rafal, he's sitting there 5th. Cam Schuster, Clutch City, still sitting there within the 6. These nuts coming in at 7th. Nacho in at 8. Danny Phipps, Sam Charles, Gordon Lee's in at 9th, and trailing the Packers, last year's leader, Tamakalava, a huge fall from grace from first to last. So I don't know if he's got an opportunity to make a run to take a spoon, but that might be the first time in Isaiah Kalava Memorial Cup, someone taking out the trophy and then taking the spoon the following year. So we'll keep an eye on this over the next couple of weeks and see how the comp shakes out. All right, speaking of comps, let's go straight into the preview of round 21. Let's close this out. So kicking us off is the Warriors again. Like I said, a do or die game. Home game. You couldn't get tickets, Stace. Sold out?
Yep, sold out already. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I know that just looking at the game, the jury's still out on, Roger as a centre, and if that was successful or not. But named at fullback this week, and in the 1 jersey, there's no doubt about his credentials. So Warriors still, we're in the mathematical stages of the Warriors season. They have to win every game to get there. So still a chance. And if they want to be a chance, they got to put the Tigers away. And I think they will. Warriors 13 plus on this one.
All right. Rog, how you seen this, bro?
Yep, I concur. They have to, because otherwise you may as well just do another Titans game and lose by 66-6.
Ain't gonna happen.
So if they can't put the Titans, then they were never in the equation. I mean, they cancelled themselves out after that. No one makes a top 8. No one makes a final or is going to be a serious contender for a title when you lose 66-6 to the Titans. Sorry.
Like I said, the internal talk at the Warriors,
that's all I have to say about that matter.
Prove you wrong. All right, let's go straight.
Yeah. Just on that, it's just a stat. No one's ever lost by 50 and won it. So I don't think the Warriors, even if they win all their games, will win it. But I would still like to see them in the playoffs.
What? So no team in a regular season, if you've been whipped by 50, goes on to win a premiership? Wow.
Yep, no one's ever won it after conceding 50 in the regular season.
Yeah.
So the Warriors will not win it.
That result confirmed it for me that there was no way that the Warriors, even though they can bandy on about the stat that they've got all home games, sold out now. Yeah. Just making money, giving out false promises and false hope to their supporters. On that wagon.
All right, and with that, let's move on to the second game of Friday night. The horrible Parramatta Eels versus the Storm. I don't know if Parramatta's got their new coach now. How you seeing this, Rog?
Yep, same. Storm going to be too strong. Even with their new guns, I think, as good as the Parramatta Eels have some players across the field, Gutherson, but included. But I think the Storm will be too strong at home, especially after last week's
Gutho's been
performance.
stripped of his captaincy for this as well. So, adding salt to the wound. Stace, you agree, Storm?
Yeah, that's probably one of the easiest ones to pick. One of the bottom teams fighting up for wooden spoon against the top team. I think Cam Munster potentially might be back, and Roger talked about how awesome Mitch Moses was for the Blues, and he's out for the rest of the season.
Yes,
so
that's right.
Storm will win by 20, I reckon.
All right, straight into the Broncos Doggies. This should be a good game. Like the Doggies, I said, are on the up. Broncos look really good with Reynolds back in, but I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go Dogs. Not a hater, but being a hater, I'm gonna go Dogs, and I reckon actually because they can do it. So yeah, up the Dogs. Stace?
Yeah, this could potentially be match of the round. Quite a good matchup for the Bronx at home. Adam Reynolds, we talked about that earlier. He's transformed the side since he's been back. It's still a bit rocks and diamonds for my liking, because they had an awesome performance and a losing effort against the Panthers a few weeks back. Then they were poor against the Dragons the week after, and then pretty good the next week against who they played was at the Knights. So up and down. But I like the Bronx at home. I talked about the Bulldogs record away, 1 from 9, I think they are. So they just can't win away games. I'll pick Bronx at home.
Yeah, can't win away.
Yeah, Adam Reynolds, the factor there, as they charge for berth in the 8. So they need to put the Doggies away. The Doggies are going to come with a hiss and a roar, but I think Broncos will be too good with not only the being at home, but also with the Reynolds being back to take the lead there.
Nice. So
they should win comfortably.
All right, Saturday, the second game on Saturday night, the Cowboys and the Sharks. Yeah, the Sharks have been good.
Cowboys.
Thereabouts. I don't know. Rog, you went Cowboys. Straight off the bat. Ooh.
Cowboys. Yeah. I think they've, off the back of last week, they'll be looking to try and go another one back to back and put the Sharks. Because these games on Saturday, including the one that we just talked about, the Bulldogs, and this is 6 of the top 8. So this is a top Saturday, and this could have a little bit of a reshuffle of the top 4, let alone the top 8. So yeah, I'm going Cowboys.
That Cowboys so they Manly can come up. That's the only reason you got ulterior motives. That's the only reason you want them up.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just looking at it. So the Cowboys, with their Queenslanders, are all back. Well, they were back in the last game, so they'll be looking to make amends. They're still hurting from that Queensland loss, so they're trying to at least win something.
Stace, how are you seeing this game?
Yeah, Sharks still up there, eh? They're sitting 3rd, just looking at the table now. But, Nico Hines is their main guy. And just looking at the injury report, he's out till round 26.
Sharks. He's out.
And they struggle without him, eh? So I'm with Roger. I think the Cows at home be too much. I'm looking forward to that battle of the 9s, eh? So Robson against Blake Brayley. Earlier on in the season, both of those guys were in the running for that New South Wales role.
Brayley was right in the running. Did he get injured? Or he just kind of dropped off? They went with Robson.
I think he just dropped off a bit, eh? So I think he'll try and prove a point. But still,
Robson is the unsung hero of that New South Wales.
Yeah, that's right.
He played awesome, so
yeah. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, this could actually be a good game. Roosters Seagulls. This was the earlier matchup as well. I think round 5 or something. This was a good match.
Yeah. I think rounding off the Saturday night, a great game here. The Eagles, man, they're going to upset the Roosters at home. Too much firepower right across the park. And I think as much as they're going to try and bring their forwards to shut them down, I think Spencer can run from all the fences and still get shut down by...
Shut down by who? Kempi. Run over the top of Kempi, bro. He's going to be a speed hump. Stace. Are you seeing this? Roosters coming off a loss to the Storm.
Tell the truth, Stacey. Tell the truth.
Yeah. I said that Broncos Bulldogs was game of the round, but just having looked, this one could be it, 4th against 5th. I'm really looking forward to seeing that battle of the fullbacks. So you've got Teddy against Turbo, which are all the best in the game. So I'll watch just to see how those two both go. So I think the Seagulls think that they're in with a chance this season. And if there are a chance, I know they sort of experimented with Turbo playing in the centres. But if they want to be realistic about pushing for a championship, Teddy has to be fullback. So I'm glad that they just went all in and hope he stays fit. So I will pick the Sea Eagles as well, which you Rog. Teddy, Turbo to give Teddy a buff.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with the Roosters on this one. They look just their halves seem to be a bit off.
You said that because Roger's there, eh?
Yeah, those halves were just a bit off last week, but just a bit like what's his name? Oh, I've forgotten his halves. Sammy Walker. He's been really good leading up to, and so he was just off last week. So I expect Sammy to bounce back. So it's just I think they'll rouge as a lot of those opportunities last week.
See the weakness of Dominic Young, man. See, he's under the high ball, mate.
He'll bounce back from that as well. Like he's usually quite safe, so I think they'll bounce back from that loss. They'll be hurting, and they're going to try and
they're always going to be a tough team to beat.
As we'll get them ready for
Roosters are
running to the final, so I'm actually going to put the Roosters on this one. Dragons Panthers at Wynn Stadium.
Yeah, this one should be the Panthers. I'm looking at the team list now. I can see that Edwards is out, so Dane Laurie at fullback, which is a massive loss for Penrith. But looking forward to that. Yeah, the two captains and two halfbacks, Ben Hunt, Nathan Cleary up against each other. Two Origin level guys and some of the best players in the comps. So they'll go a long way to deciding the result. I actually will pick an upset. I think the Dragons will get a win here. I quite like the look of their team. They got a good forward pack as well. Jaden Sewer trying to prove a point when he got dropped from Origin. So I'll pick them to get the upset just because Edwards is a massive loss.
It's a big call, yeah. Will be good to see and how much of an impact that is without Edwards. Rog?
I still reckon whoever they bring in with the Panthers, they'll be able to do it without Dylan Edwards. Although he is a massive loss, I concur with Stace on that one. But I think the Panthers will have the depth to be able to still put the Dragons away. But there could be upsets on the Sunday, and I don't think it'll be with the Dragons. Dragons have had a mixed season. Where are they sitting at the moment? They're sitting just outside the 8. But I don't think they'll be able to beat the Panthers.
Nice. Yeah, I'm actually going to go Panthers as well. Just their consistency of next man up mentality. But also, I hope the Dragons have a good game. Welcoming Mose Suli into the D's Nuts Isaiah Kalava team. So wishing Moses Suli gets a nice double there. Get some points on the board for my team. All right, moving over to the Dolphins and Titans. Dolphins unlucky last week. I saw missed a jump on drop goal that would have sealed the game. But Titans again being thereabouts. This is do or die for them. Same place as the Warriors. They lose the game, they're done. So they need 7 from 7. So every game counts, and this is uphill battle for them. I am picking the Dolphins on this. Stace?
Yeah, you think the Dolphins would win there, and they've been entrenched in the top 8 for a long period, and the Titans are in that wood and spoon battle. But these Queensland derbies, there's always something special, and then you can sort of throw the form line out the window. I'm looking forward to this battle in the back row where Dave Fifita should have played Origin. Felice Kofusi got a spot, and like I said, Kofusi, 16 minutes, 2 runs for 4 meters. That's what he came up with in Origin 3. He was a passenger, and Dave Fifita would have done better. I reckon he's going to cover up, get man of the match, get the Titans home. Titans in another upset.
Rog,
I'm calling that
and tell
too.
him stuff you.
I believe David Fifita's got a point to prove as well, but I think Titans will upset, albeit that the Dolphins are in the 8 at the moment. They've had a good run, but that's my upset of the round.
Nice.
Titans going to do going to do what they did to the Warriors.
Yeah. And wrapping at our round,
maybe not as bad.
We have the Raiders and the Rabbits. Raiders need 4 from 7. Kicked their season off again after that win against the Warriors. Not convincing though. Like you saw the visions of Stewart at the end of that game. Like just that again. Like the Raiders doing the same stuff. Like they had that lead and they were out. They could have kicked on and they ended up just winning that. So. Yeah, I think the Raiders in a bit of a predicament. The Rabbits needing 6 from 7 now, so they're also in that same kind of. Are they ready to go on a run, or are they done? So, Stace?
Yeah, this one's quite a tough one. Hey, 10th versus 12th is not quite clear cut. I know the Raiders in Canberra are pretty hard to beat, so I'll just go for them at home. Kyle Wicks, their fullback, has been he's been good there, so I think he can have an influence. I'll go the Raiders just because they're at home on that one.
Rog, you happy with the crowd attendance and the behaviour of the crowd last week for the Raiders game?
I'm going to pick the Rabbitohs here. Only because I just like seeing Ricky Stewart stressed. Pulling his hair, chewing his gum, mashing his gum.
Yeah, I wonder if he's.
But yeah, I'll choose the Raiders.
Or the Rabbits. The Rabbits.
I mean the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, the Rabbits got a few out. Yeah, Jai Gray's okay. Nah, yeah, I'm going to go Rabbits. He just didn't look convincing last week. Yeah, Big Papa did good, but yeah, I think the Rabbits should be able to come home with this one as well. Nice, boys. Let's put in a 4-leg multi, eh? You got any picks there, Stace? You got something to add to this 4-leg multi if we were to put one in?
I picked the Titans. Me and Roger picked the Titans, but I'm big on Dave Fifita. I think he was so unlucky to miss out on Origin. He will have carved up. So I will pick Dave Fifita for anytime try scorer. I'm not sure what the odds are, but he'll get a try this game. That's my
nice prediction. To the predictions. All right, Rog, you got anything there to add? Just your pick for a 3-leg. We'll go with a 3-leg multi. Bet. Just like your prediction, like a bet, like which team's gonna win or which player's gonna score a try.
Oh right, Rabbitohs to win. What's the points differences that you can bet on?
12 and under or 13 plus. You can do any straight.
13 plus.
Break the multi.
So then you have to get all the twists right to win.
To win anything. Nice.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
You gotta thank me later for that one.
Let's maximize this multi, eh?
Rabbitohs.
Yeah, let's maximize it. I'm gonna go RTS with a double. Here we go.
Ooh.
David Fifita for anytime try score. Rabbits 13 plus. RTS for a double. Gamble responsibly, people. So, get $10 refunds from us. Nice, boys.
Oh, I see.
Good rap. Anything else? We'll come to you first, Roger. Any last words? Any shoutouts?
After the State of Origin, this quote was bandied around. The Blues silenced the Maroons in a decider for the ages.
Oh, nice, Rog. Always got the thunder for those last words, so part of me wants to leave it at that, but I'll give a shout out to my teammate, the Warriors. It hasn't been a great season for us on the field per se, but the Warriors, they're on track to be the first team in the NRL era to sell out all their home games in the season. And also the first club team in any sport in New Zealand to sell out every home game. So no Super Rugby team's ever done that or anything, or NPC teams. So the Warriors on track. Yeah, they're going to Las Vegas as well.
Yes.
One of the teams chosen. So they organised a charter flight direct to Las Vegas for next year for their foray over there, and that sold out in 17 minutes. So yeah, when you consider that New Zealand, it's traditionally a die-hard rugby union country. For the NRL and the Warriors to achieve sort of those feats over here, that speaks volumes of the great work that rugby league's doing in this country. So, not a great season on the field per se, which is where it does matter, but great to see the Warriors faithful sort of turning up in their droves. So, yeah, shout out to the boys.
Nice, boys. No, nothing else from me. Cheers for coming on, Usos. Thank you for listening. You can find us on all your streaming platforms, and we'll catch you guys next week.
The Blues against the Maroons in a decider for the ages.
This guy's quote. Where do you find your quote? Who even quoted that? You just write it yourself and say this was quoted.
It's the slogan.
Quoted your own article on WesWes.
Check out my article on the WesWes Sports magazine. I forgot to mention the magazine. Yeah.